And so tell me, like, what is that? What is the process for a young woman? I have a daughter, she's 17. What is the process of discovery, and what sort of little things do you maybe ideas or tips or for a young woman to become who she wants to become? What sort of advice would you give a young person?
For a young person,
or a young woman, or yeah.
Well, so the journey of self-discovery is not non-gendered, right?
Okay.
Like we all go through this. A self at the very beginning, you know that when you're on the verge of embarking on this self-discovery phase, usually happens around like teens, 20s, maybe like in the 30s. But everyone's journey is different. Some people never really had the opportunity or that privilege to even have the freedom to explore, right? But wherever you start, you will know that there's something in your life that you're not happy about, or there's a change that you want to make and you're not sure what it is. And so the first step is to really start reframing the things that we are grumpy and not happy about, to being curious about why am I feeling this way around this. So start off by asking really curious questions, starting a habit of, instead of stating judgments in our own heads, start stating them in curious questions.
Like, for example, like a young woman is maybe just not happy with her looks, or
so social media
probably, I mean,
so great
comparing
example.
with all these different people.
So for example, social media for young people, a lot of young women experience that they place their value on how much validation that they receive in this virtual world, right?
How many likes did they get?
Yeah, how many likes, and I think a lot of time has a lot to do with their immediate circle of friends. So if I just speak from experience. I work with a lot of young women in the pageant world. Many of them are, it's a mixed bag. You have like the scientist that's still going to college, and then you have like the social media content creator or models or actresses where their online social profile is just more chiseled, right? And sometimes you can go into a competition game of like, oh, but this girl is more likely to win because like she is a model, she's like signed with this agency, she has this many followers, but it plays such like a skewed reality in our head, right? But instead of making that assumption that is the quality of what makes a girl wins in a competition, start getting curious of, maybe asking of like, oh, but okay, this girl's like special in her own way, and what makes me special? Right. And start really asking questions that, instead of directing outward to the things that we can change, direct the question inward in the things that we can.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying a young woman needs to ask, like, okay, what's great about me? And start asking herself what's great about herself. Is that kind of what you were saying, or?
Really start asking a question. Actually, just knowing that like her work, like she's already enough, right? It's not really a question about like whether or not like I'm enough. Okay. But more so about like asking the curious question. Oh, if I don't feel 100%, or if I don't feel 100% confident, what it is that I'm lacking, or what is it that I need for me to fill this cup? There's a lot of times where we're just looking in the wrong places. Right.
So what would be an answer from a young woman, like for example?
Can you give me a specific?
Well, like I don't know. I mean, I guess just looking at the social media aspect, because I mean, so obviously social media is a tough situation. I mean, it could really, really mess with a young person's mind about what's important. And look, I think it's anybody. I don't even think it's young people. I think it's everybody. I mean, as a matter of fact, I actually just recently, this last month, I turned off all my likes. I don't even look at the likes anymore. Yeah. Like literally, like I think likes should just be turned off. Honestly, like it means nothing to me. Yeah. I'm doing my content because I like to do it, and I feel like I'm bringing value. And if I bring value to one person, then cool. If I don't, then that's okay too. So I think that it's messing with people's minds because they're doing something for the validation versus just doing it because they love it. You're not painting because you want the validation of the paint. You're not painting so that I can say, oh, that's a great painting. You're painting because it's allowing you to release your emotions or release your creativity, so that you can, enjoy that process. That's it. That's all. That's why you're doing it. Now, if somebody comes by and says, hey, look, I'll pay you 10 grand for that. Yeah, we'll take it. You know what I mean? But you're doing it because you love it, and so a young woman that is maybe feeling bad about herself, or even a young kid, a young man, right, man or woman, that doesn't feel good about themselves because of what they're seeing online, or even there's a lot of young kids that they won't even post online because they hate their looks so much, or they hate the way they look, or they hate their hair, or they hate their skin, hate their whatever. You know what I mean? What do you tell them? Like, how do you get them to pivot on that? Because social media is not going away. It's going to be here forever, and we're probably going to be engaged in it for a very long time. I mean, obviously people can take detoxes and all that kind of stuff, but the truth is people are going to be online. A lot of businesses are online. I mean, this is how you create business. I mean, we're online right now. Somebody's gelling out watching us right now. You know what I mean? So how do we wrap our head around all that?
Well, I would say, everyone's path is different. And, if someone were to come to me and say, like, hey, like, my kid is really depressed over, like, her likes on social media, which I do, I would suggest to get really curious about what makes that so important for the young girl or the young man or whoever it is that kind of like
Well, she says to you, she says, I just, everybody else is getting so many likes and I'm not getting very many likes, and what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. And, so that's just as a little role play here.
This is perfect. Oh, that's, that's cool. But, are there any, do you not feel, okay, let's say you get like 100 likes, you get more likes than this girl, and then what?
Well, nothing really, but I don't feel like I'm pretty enough, or I don't feel like I'm good enough, or I don't feel like I'm as talented as this other person.
Are there other things that you do or that make you feel pretty or to make you feel more confident other than social media?
So you're basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to pull out from them, right? You're trying to pull out like what is the actual issue? What's the actual issue?
Yeah.
I love it. And I love what you're doing is because this is sales, by the way. So I've been in sales for 25 years. I'm a professional salesperson. So
I'm the opposite. I need to learn sales.
But you're not though. You're not. You're already is she already a salesperson? You're literally doing the technique that every salesperson knows when they're trying to get somebody to buy. Because basically what you did right now is you got me you asked me questions to figure out what is it that I really want, or what is the real problem? What is the real issue? And then as a salesperson, you're able to say, okay, well, I have the solution for you, right?
Yeah.
So I know your problem, I know your issue, I know the challenge. Now I'm going to give you what you need. So if I can give you what you need, then would you consider doing business with me? So this is sales 101.
I mean, human psychology.
You
right?
did it.
The skills translate.
But you did it. You already got it already.
Yeah,
so.
but like the reasoning behind that is like one, like I always just assume I know nothing about because we all know nothing about other people's like internal world, right? So I like to get really curious to be able to see it from their perspective in order for me to like offer a solution. And a lot of times, because I've in the past I've when I worked at the clinic, I worked with kids before, and a lot of times I love working with kids, but I can't work with kids because I can't work with the parents.
Gotcha.
But
you can. You just choose not
because,
to.
because the parents, they need therapy.
Okay.
But because a lot of times our parents bring their 3-year-old, 5-year-old into the office, it's like, oh, here, fix it.
Right.
1 hour every week. But then like what happens for the rest of the hours in the week, right? Like what is this kid exposed to?
Exactly.
Like children don't learn by what you tell them, but by examples.
That's it.
So there's that.
More is caught than taught.
Yeah,
So,
and so with every younger person's mind, like I kind of just wanted to see like, oh, because humans are pretty simple. Our mind really makes it complicated. Humans, we are just aimed for survival. We aim to procreate and kind of expand, right? And for security, because it makes our tribe stronger. And there's always things that require for those things to happen, and then there's a need to be fulfilled in order for the next thing to get done. So there's always a fulfilling need, a need gap.
Right.
So if a young person is like, oh, I'm not getting enough likes, then like my first curiosity is like, okay, then you rely so heavily on this one object. This reflects back to me that in your life, there are many things in your life right now that's giving you the attention or the love and the validation that you need.
Right.
So where's the gap in that? Because if a person who's in a family or surrounded by people or cultivated the skills to like stand on their own to self-provide that source of like joy and happiness, then you don't really like fall into things like that, right? So it's more so how can we fulfill that need, whether it's through other channels or like internally, but most importantly on this self-discovery journey is like figure out, like know ourselves so well that know what serves us and what doesn't, know what our desires, our purpose and passion, and know what our needs are, and learn the skills, set boundaries, and not be afraid to ask to fulfill those needs. And it is only then we can continue to thrive and continue to serve.
And so what would you say, working with all those pageant girls, what's the biggest challenges or what's the biggest problems that you see arise with those girls?
A few things, and I'm not sure I'm not ready to say this yet because
you don't want to throw them under the bus or what?
No, I think it's something that I'm still like figuring out and healing from, because I love the concept of pageantry because it started at a time where women had no place.
Right.
Where it was even to today, pageantry is the only like international competition that's for women that's broadcasted on television. Yeah. They don't see really like mainstream television broadcast any other women's sports, right? And so pageantry really created that platform for a very long time for young women to like cultivate a confidence and speak their voice. So it's a beautiful thing. But over time, our time has changed. Right, but like the system has been still operating in a very old system, and I think it's still perpetuating this idea of being scored, that women's value is placed. Because right now in the Miss USA system, the last year that you can compete is age 28. So it creates like this idea that your prime, you miss your prime if you like.
If you're 29, you're kind of old and we can't score you anymore.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of like tiny ideas like that in the culture. A lot of the more old school people who in pageantry that really still obeys on this idea, you need to wear your hair this certain way and to speak this certain way, and instead like giving them, exercising the empowerment and power for them to be truly who they are and just like really let themselves shine. They really mold them into like...
they're like little robots, they're kind of all doing the same exact thing. They're doing the same walk, they're doing the same smile, they're even answering questions the same, right? It's like it's so scripted. It's so scripted. You have to be so politically correct, and it's like
I feel like there are definitely like outliers, but it's not the individual girls, but it's more so like the culture of it. It really does shape especially the aspiring young girls who look up to them. It's something that I am, one of the biggest motivators that I first wanted to bring mental health into pageantry, and then recognize this, and now this is something like with my digital course, I really hope to like support young women, beyond pageantries. This is not just for women in pageants, but more so for women who, any woman at any age, just really want to come to really find out what it is that drives them, what it is that empowers them, and find out all of the things about them, and not rely on an outer source for validation.
If you like this video and you would like to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.